Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. I thought we'd talk a little bit today about some basic push hands and pushing exercises that help you to rein in your extremes. A lot of Tai Chi is just doing nothing more than that, just reining in the extremes so that you don't extend too far when you issue, and you don't retreat too far when you coil, you don't sink too low when you sink, you don't rise too rise when you rise, you don't reach too far when you reach, you don't inhale too long and much when you inhale, you don't exhale too much when you exhale, you don't eat too much when you eat or drink too much when you drink. It's reining in the extremes. So a simple thing to say is, can you do more of what you're doing and still be comfortable? If you can't, it means you've reached an extreme. If I can't sink any lower without discomfort, then I know I've reached the bottom, I've reached the extreme, so I want to go to a point where, yeah, I can sink further. So first of all, stances in this. I'm not a big believer and I'm not really interested in really deep stances, both for pushing hands and for solo practice. It's nice for your legs, you get some strength, but you don't really meet life in that position. This is how you fight, this is how you deal with stuff in everyday life. You're not usually in a stance when the shit hits the fan. So we take a moderate size stance. So when we're doing pushing hands, we don't do this kind of thing where you sit back with your hip and lift your foot like that, like if we're doing single hand circling and doing that kind of thing. If I'm straightening my leg and lifting that, I don't see any benefit to doing that. What we do in our style more is to sit down into the thighs here. You're sitting into your hips and settling. It's not a big motion, it's really a small motion. But there you're sitting into your thighs, and from there you can spring off and push. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the backward coiling part of a push. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hands on his hips, and he's going to start in a front stance, so he's basically forward. Most of his weight's on the front foot, and I'm going to push on him, and he's going to meet my push and resist me a little bit, so don't let me move you. Now gradually sit back, and we're going to find out how far he can sit back and still keep his heel behind his center. Because from above, looking down, you want your heel, your center, and your contact with the other person to be in a line. From above, looking down, right? In other words, I want my center in front of my heel and my hands in front of my center. So we're talking about going backwards. If you go back too far, here my center is over my heel, then here I can't really, if he pushes me here, if he's pushing me here, I cannot resist him. Just steady pressure, please. I can't push forward here. I'm trying as hard as I can. I cannot push forward. Now, here, not much difference, but here I can push forward, see? So what I'm going to do is, he pushes me here slowly and steadily. I start in a front stance, and then I just gradually yield to that push. And I'm going back to the place where I can still push him, right? So again, when he pushes, a good way to do this, if you want to play with this yourself, is when you start in the front stance, he applies a steady pressure. Now I'm going to meet that pressure. I'm just meeting it. I'm not pushing against him. I'm just meeting it. I'm absorbing it and not letting him move me. And then I'm going to let him push me back, and I'm going to let him push me back until I just get to a point that's too far. Like here, I just cannot push forward. As hard as I try, I can't do it. The physics aren't there yet. So instead, I'm going to let him push me, push steady, and I'm going to drop into this place in front of my heel, see? See me sinking and settling, but I'm not, my center's not going past my heel, so from here, I can push it, right? So that's a way to test how far back you're going. When you do your solo form and you're taking a step, getting ready to issue, from here, you don't want to go like this, because I'm so far back, if there was any pressure here, I couldn't go forward. I literally physically couldn't. So when I settle, my center goes slightly forward. I'm still behind the 50-50 line, and my weight is basically on my back leg, but my center is in front of my heel, so from there, I can then push, or do parting horse's mane, or I can do brush knee and push, or I can do a punch. If you sink and come here, it's too extreme. I can't go any further comfortably for one, and I can't get off that leg and really do a push. So again, the first exercise is just to feel that pressure, push strongly, and I'm going to use his pressure to slowly load up that leg. And I can play with going back too far, and I can't push, or I can play with here, go ahead, you can push really hard if you want to, see? There I can push. So that's reining in the extremes in the back position. Now to rein in the extreme in the front position. So from here, I'm going to put my hands here like this. Neil's just going to back this up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to play with, he's going to press on me a little bit with his weight, so I'm absorbing it. Now from here, I'm going to push. So he's going to add a little pressure to me to help me load up my back leg. And again, I'm not going to go back to here because I can't push from there. I'm going back to just in front of my back heel. From here, I'm just going to straighten this back leg. I'm going to kind of pry him up off the ground a little bit, and then I'm going to really add my push. Sometimes there's a tendency to do it all at once. So you go here and you go push. So just resist me a little bit right when I push, and I can't get off the ground here. Instead, even if he resists, I want to pry him off the ground a little bit. Then I want to finish the push. So I don't want to commit too far when I go forward. So let's switch hands if we could. From here, now he's just going to have his hand here, kind of hooking my forearm, not the wrist. That's a little could damage it if he yanked it there. From here, I'm going to set myself, he's going to add a little pressure on me, yeah, there. Now, after I push, he's going to pull me. Right? So he's going to show me if I'm gone too far. If I set myself, pressure please, if I set myself here, oops, I went back too far. Push please, there. If I go too far forward, see what happens? My balance is broken there. So, from here, he adds a little pressure. I'm going to load up my back leg. I'm not going back too far. I'm mostly sinking down in front of my back leg. Now, as I do my push, when I feel that pull, I want to imagine he's got a rope, and that rope, it goes between my legs and attaches to the back of my pelvis. And when he pulls me, it's going to pull my pelvis forward. See? He's bringing trouble with him when he pulls me. That's the way you want it to be. He's bringing trouble. So from here, I issue, you know, and notice I'm not leaning forward too much here. I'm not leaning forward when I go to do my push. And when I push and he pulls me, I'm not going forward and then adjusting. I don't want to wait too long when I'm being pulled. I want him to pull my entire structure. Here's me waiting too long. I can correct once I get yanked, but you see I went forward and I had to correct, which is better than nothing. But what I'd rather do from here is issue. He pulls me, he pulls everything forward. He pulls my whole pelvis forward. So another drill you can do is just have someone pull you. Okay, so we lost batteries there. So we're just doing the pull now. So from here, when he gives me a pull, I don't want to do that. See, it uprooted me. Or also when he does the pull, I don't want to fight for it too long and then have to adjust. So when he pulls my whole self forward. So you want to try to keep your spine more or less upright, very slow motion pull. No, don't do that. When he pulls, he's pulling the whole self forward. So just to recap so far, pushes on the hips to give me a chance to settle before I go too far. Here I can't push, here I can. And that's the place I want to land in every time I take a step in Tai Chi to go forward. I want to land in that place where if there was pressure here, I could push against it with my leg. I could do that. If I sink to this place where I can't, where any pressure here would stymie me, I'm going to an extreme again. And then the other one is when I actually do a push, if he holds here, he's checking my extreme at the end. So at the end of a push. So no matter how hard I issue or how committed I am, here, I'm still ready to go. And when he pulls me, it's not that you don't want any correction at all in the spine, but you just want to minimize it. So that as much as possible, he's like dragging a statue along the ground, because I'm on the ground. Because really the push just takes you up off the ground and then back down again. You're headed to the ground, and your partner here is in the way. I'm landing there. He's just in the way of that. So I make a little arc. If I was punching, it's the same thing. I'm punching to here, but boom, he just happens to be in the way. Right? I'm not going, like lunging myself out into space over him. I'm bringing everything with me. Another exercise we can also do here is from here, I'm getting ready to push. One thing that happens a lot is this kind of and then push. See, what happens is right when I get ready to push, he floods in there. So what I have people do is stand like this, and I will pretend I'm going to get ready to push and exaggerate it, and then he just pushes in at that moment, right? So it's just kind of like, it's kind of like water. If he gives in, I'm going to trap it. So go ahead and now push. See? You don't have much push there. So instead of that, instead of going 1, 2, already be at 2. His legs, his elbows are already bent. So from there, just push. See? You don't have to have any preparation at all. So if you set yourself up here, instead of going ready, set, push, I'm already ready, set. Just push. Right? So firm, push. See? See if you can see my elbows bent. Not much. Instead of that coil there. So these are just reining in the extremes. Again, when I do this, it's like I'm getting ready, but I'm giving that away, and he can just flood into that space. Some people are really good at interpreting that. They can feel when you're going in, and they'll follow you into that place and trap you there. So from here, I wind up to punch, and if his hand just follows my elbow, I can't do anything. So you don't want to like do all this winding up and moving away. Just if your hand is here, punch from there. Right? Don't pull it way back and then do that. Same thing with pushing. If I'm pushing, why do this first? Just push. Right? Just go from there. So you've got to test for how far back you're going. You got to test for how far forward you're going. You got to test for whether or not you're giving away your push right before you do it. So those are some pushes and some pushing exercises that will hopefully help you rein in your extremes a little bit and keep you a little closer to the core, a little closer to the center, a little closer to neutral, so that you have options wherever you land. You never want to feel like you're stuck without options. You always want to feel as much neutral as possible, as many options open for yourself as you can. So hopefully that'll help you practice, and something you can play with and work on in your Tai Chi, especially solo form. It's so easy to go too far and make these movements big gestures instead of just comfortable here. I want to feel like that. Those hands are on my hips. I better be able to push them forward. Right? So if you like this kind of thing, subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit my website, GeneBurnett.com. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.